I've been thinking about spiffing this place up a little bit, and I went onto YouTube, which is a good place to research things, to find out if anybody else has done a shed studio as I have. And I've seen a number of them, and most of what I see is they build them from the ground. They put about $4,000 in them, and you still hear echoes. And I'm not certain that they are the help that I was looking for. So I'm thinking about maybe doing an off-subject video on how I put this situation together and what I intend to do to improve it. And I could do it for a whole lot less than $4,000. I'll tell you that right now. Retro review coming up next on Babylon 5, Born to the Purple. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and Born to the Purple refers to the status that Londo Mollari has in the Centauran Republic. He is an ambassador and therefore important as far as that goes. And at one time when the Centaurans were a mighty empire, it made more sense. Now he's almost a joke, not quite, and he realizes it. And that leads him to a certain amount of melancholy about it. So even when he has the attention of a young dancer, a Centauran young dancer, he has his doubts as to what her motivations are with an old man like him. And nevertheless, he goes ahead and enjoys himself. And this is something we find out about the Centaurs. They are people who enjoy the excesses. They drink too much, they eat too much, they party too much, they have multiple sets of genitals, I'm told. And all of this works against Londo this time, because there's no fool like an old fool. He's being targeted for information in his purple file, which they explain here. And much of the plot goes around this. And a secondary one where Garibaldi notices an unauthorized transmission on a privileged channel. They're gold channels, which can only be used by the senior officers and ambassadors on the station. And someone is hacking into it, and Garibaldi is determined to find out who that is. And those are the two things that are going on. But really what I find more interesting about this series are the small things, the introduction of new characters such as Gira Akshi, who is Jakar's new assistant. She is a female Narn, and when someone propositions her in a bar, she pretty much sends him across the room. She's nobody to be trifled with, but in a way, she has the same kind of zeal for the diplomatic mission as Veer does that we introduced last week. And in fact, there is the possibility where she and Veer get to engage in some negotiations, which is kind of interesting there. We'll hear more of them. But mostly about this episode was about Londo, and we find out a great deal about what it is that drives Londo and his and some way that the Centauran pecking order works. The fact is that if you are a prominent family, as Londo is from, in order to maintain your rank within the society, you pretty much have to have dirt on everybody else so they don't challenge you. And they all have dirt on you, so you don't challenge them. That's how it works. And the theft of this information becomes the big problem. Other small things that I noticed, Garibaldi reading Universe Today, reading the sports page, obviously by the 23rd century that this is set in, newspapers are still around, and that sports teams are still something interesting. Something you miss in other science fiction things. They talk about Parisi squares in The Next Generation, but not just, football and baseball as much. I mean, Cisco in Deep Space Nine was interested in baseball, but by that time it was rather an antiquated sport, which is no longer played. So there you have that. Also, I kind of like some of the things that are thrown back and forth, individual lines. We'll find throughout the series that Londo has a certain amount of respect for Veer and a almost of a jealousy of remembering a time when he was as naive. He does give him some dressing down. You moon-faced assassin of joy, he says when Veer is trying to get him to come to a meeting he doesn't want to go to. Things like that. Also, we find an interesting thing of the relationship between Garibaldi and Ivanova. Ivanova is kind of a closed person, and Garibaldi is somewhat of a people person. He's a person that, as a security chief, obviously, he needs to kind of know around what everybody on the station is doing. And Ivanova is one that is a little more of a cipher. And while I don't think that he tries to find out more about her, he ends up doing just that. And I think it creates a new kind of respect between the two of them when what he does find out, he uses the greatest of discretion. And so we see something about Garibaldi as well. He's not just your security guy. He's not just the guy who likes cartoons, but he also has admirable sense of honor. And we also see a softer side of Ivanova. And I think that that is a good way to start to establish a relationship between the two of them. The acting, of course, is great because, I mean, they say so much without even a whole lot of dialogue there. I thought was quite good. I see the same thing with Londo, the situations in which he is with Jakar and when he is with Sinclair. Sheridan comes a couple of seasons later. But he has to portray a person that is lying, but someone who lets people know what he really thinks. As an ambassador, he can't be completely free to say exactly what he thinks, but in the way that he lies, you get to know the truth. Do you get me? It was almost like the interchange in Casablanca between Louis and Rick, where they spoke kind of around the issues. They never went directly, except in one case, and then kind of make a joke to deflect it. It is a very careful dance that is done in order to cement friendships and associations and still keep business going. So that's what I see about this one. We're getting on the Roku channel, although all of the episodes are mislabeled. What will show you Born to the Purple, they will say is episode 3 when it's actually episode 4, but we'll decode that for you and send it the right way. So I'd like to know what you think about it. Please put something below if you have some comments to make. It's always nice to read, and I respond to all of them that I can. And then if you have not subscribed, please do so, because we like subscribers. And if you would click a like button, likes also get counted up, and that's also nice to hear and nice to see. So until next time, next week, of course, we start back with Deep Space Nine on Tuesday, with the original series on Wednesday, and Friday we'll have another review of Babylon 5 and the first episode of Season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks. So I hope that you'll be along, and until then, don't go far.